Chapter 624. The rest of the demon power essence should be used as little as possible. The demon yuan qi in this land is very rare. If you want to increase your cultivation quickly, you will have to rely on the demon power essence. Yi Chen saw that Murong Qingqing was fine, so he said. Murong Qingqing nodded. This land was a human land. Not to mention the demon yuan qi, even some of the demon element medicines were very rare. Therefore, it would be hard to increase her cultivation with external items, and it would not last long. But, with the demon power essence, she could at least increase her cultivation to peak level late seas of Soul's realm. 1 year has passed. Let's go back to the South Rudra region. Other than the Ant King grass, all the other ingredients had been found. The Ant King grass could also be replaced by the Black Ant grass. If nothing went wrong, it should be possible. After all, the Ant King grass was not the main ingredient for the shadowless poison. It was just a supplementary ingredient. Taking out the flying puppet, the two sat on it and flew toward the south. After 1 month, Murong family in the South Rudra region, what? You have found all the materials for the antidote? Murong Jishui was very surprised. In fact, he had not been idle during this half a year either. He had used all of his family's power to search for the materials, even spending a huge amount of spirit stones to buy information. In his eyes, Su Ruhui and Murong Qingqing were his everything. Nothing was more important than them. What he did not expect was that within half a year, the two had already found all the materials. Even with all of his family's power, he had only managed to find less than 1/10 of the materials. Murong Qingqing said, "It is all Yi Chen's credit. When I went to the Sky Martial region to find him, he had already found most of the materials." Murong Jishui looked at Yi Chen gratefully, "Thank you. It seems like it was the right decision to let you take care of Qingqing. You are a responsible person." Yi Chen did not know what to say. A blush appeared on Murong Qingqing's face. "Uncle, here are all the materials." Yi Chen took out a low-rank storage ring and handed it over to Murong Jishui, which contained all of the ingredients for the antidote, but, we did not find the Ant King plant, only a couple of black ant plants. I wonder if they could be used as a replacement. Murong Jishui smiled and said, "I don't know if I can replace it, but it doesn't matter, I have a lot of Ant King grass here." He had bought it at an auction. That's good. Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing heaved a sigh of relief. Now that everything was ready, all that was left was the east wind. "Alright, I will make the antidote for the shadowless poison. You guys find a place to rest. Qingqing, I'll leave Yi Chen to you." Now that he had all the materials, Murong Jishui was in a much better mood, and his face glowed with glory. "Father, hurry up and refine the antidote." Murong Qingqing pushed Murong Jishui. Alright, I will go now." Making the antidote for the shadowless poison was not hard for Murong Jishui, since the shadowless poison was created by the demi-demon family in the early days. The recipe and method of making the antidote had been passed down. During this period of time, Murong Jishui had practiced countless times in his head, trying to make sure that nothing went wrong. Once Murong Jishui left, there were only Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing in the living room. "I have not seen the scenery here yet. Take me around." Yi Chen chuckled. It was time for him to relax a bit. In the next couple of days, Murong Jishui tried his best to make the antidote for the shadowless poison. He shut himself in the house, while Murong Qingqing brought Yi Chen to travel around the Murong family. A lot of people from the Murong family had seen the two of them walking around hand in hand. "It seems like warrior Yi Chen will be the future son-in-law of our Murong family. Miss is a famous beauty. Warrior Yi is so lucky." "You can't say that. Right now, Warrior Yi is famous in the Sky Martial region, second only to the top 5 young warriors. Only he is good enough for Mississippi, that's true." On this day, Yi Chen suggested, "I have been back for a few days. I want to go see my parents. Do you want to come? Yes. Murong Qingqing thought that it was also time for her to meet Yi Chen's parents. Windy Nation. In the living room of the Yi family. Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing were sitting in the main seats, while Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing were sitting in the lower seats. Miss Qingqing, this time, you must stay for a few more days. I want to chat with you. Shen Yuqing said to Murong Qingqing gently. Murong Qingqing was a bit flattered. Her face without the black veil was glowing. Auntie, you can just call me Qingqing. As long as you don't mind me, I don't care how many days I stay here. Hee, why would I mind you? Shen Yuqing laughed, there are not many girls as beautiful as you. Seeing Murong Qingqing's real face, Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing were both shocked. What kind of spirit qi would it take to give birth to such a beautiful face? Both of them were very happy that Yi Chen had brought back such a beautiful wife. After all, their son was a dragon among men, and was not something normal people could compete with. Even those normal rich people could have 3 wives and 4 concubines, and all of them were beautiful like flowers. How could their son fall behind? Right then, Yi Tianhao winked at Shen Yuqing. Shen Yuqing seemed to have thought of something. He took out a jade pendant with a purple glow and innate cloud patterns from his storage ring. He walked down and handed it to Murong Qingqing. Qingqing, this innate magic cloud jade is our Yi family's heirloom. I will give it to you now. Thank you, Auntie. Murong Qingqing happily accepted it. Dad, Mom. Where is Big Brother? Happy footsteps were heard. 2 kids around 7 or 8 years old ran in. It was Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao. 2 little guys. Shen Yuqing smiled helplessly. These little guys couldn't stay still. They had been running around the Yi family and playing with the other kids. They must have heard that Yi Chen had come back. Yi Chen held his brother and sister in each hand and joked, much heavier. Yi Xian said, Big brother, other people's brothers and sisters come back often. Why don't you come back often? Yeah. Yi Xiaoxiao stared at Yi Chen with her eyes wide open. Yi Chen said, you will know when you grow up. Grow up, we are already grown up. Yi Tianhao joked, you are still bothering your big brother when you are grown up? Hearing this, Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao made a face. On the side, Murong Qingqing laughed. Kids were indeed fun. She wondered what Yi Chen was like when he was a kid. Seeing his happy family, Yi Chen was very satisfied. In this world, he already had a happy family. All that was left was to become stronger and explore the mysteries of the universe. Plus, only by becoming stronger could he protect his family and the people around him. The Yi family in the Misty Mountain was huge. Beside the sparkling lake, Yi Chen was training with his sword. Beams of golden light flowed along the surface of his body, jumping onto the normal longsword and waving it around. The taste is not right. It should be more natural. It is too aggressive. It has ruined the harmony of the gold pattern. Training again and again, Yi Chen's understanding deepened again and again. In a pavilion hundreds of meters away, Murong Qingqing, Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao were together, watching Yi Chen train with his sword. Big brother is so hard-working. I want to be like him in the future. Yi Xian clenched his small fists. Murong Qingqing said, you can start working hard when you are 10. Yi Chen's hard work indeed made her sigh. When she first met him, he was just a martial genius who was not that powerful. But, every time they met, she could see his improvement, and his fame was getting bigger and bigger. From the South Rudra region to the Southern region, and then from the Southern region to the Sky Martial region, he was always shining brightly. Shoo! Shoo! The sound of air being torn apart was heard as the sword light spread out. I need to have the softness of water and the sharpness of metal. The two complement each other. Only then will it be complete. But, it is not that easy. Putting away his sword, Yi Chen slowly let out a breath. Let's go. I will take you guys out to play. Since he could not make a breakthrough, Yi Chen did not force himself. In terms of comprehension, it was impossible to force it. It was all about the flow of water and the flow of water. Flying over the Yi family, Yi Chen made a slight noise. His body twisted and landed back in the Yi family. However, it was not his yard, but a side-branch disciple's yard. Inside the yard, this side-branch disciple was also training his sword art. His sword was a soft sword, so the sword art he trained leaned towards the gentle water element. Sword light danced in the yard, the gentle sword light like the moonlight mirage in the water, gathering and dispersing, making people feel intoxicated. Soft sword, gentle, sword light. As a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior, Yi Chen did not attract the other's attention at all. Instead, he seemed to be in a trance as he stared at the other's sword art. Murong Qingqing landed with Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao, using Jin Yuan to isolate an area. She knew that Yi Chen was comprehending something and could not be disturbed. After finishing a set of sword art, this side-branch disciple wiped off his sweat and was about to put away his sword when he suddenly sensed someone training beside him. When he realized that it was Yi Chen, he immediately held his breath, not daring to make any movements. Who was Yi Chen? He was a legendary figure in the South Rudra region and even the whole southern region, a genius sword artist, and the pride of the Yi family. Even if he was more excited, he knew that he could not disturb Yi Chen. Soft sword is soft, like water. But, no matter how soft it is still a sword, sharp beyond compare. Yes, this is the feeling. Yi Chen sank into the training of the gold pattern as if he was possessed. Gradually, a golden pattern spread out in the yard. It was not sword light, nor was it sword qi. Instead, it was formed by Yi Chen's qi, which was very magical. As the golden pattern became more and more numerous, it became softer and softer, and its destructive power started to show. Soon, everything in the yard was turned into dust. At the critical moment, Murong Qingqing pushed out her Jin Yuan to protect this side-branch disciple. Go! After an unknown period of time, Yi Chen waved out his sword, and the golden pattern spread out. Not to mention this side-branch disciple, even Murong Qingqing thought that it was the real water pattern, but it was gold in color. Facing this attack, there was no way to block it, and one could only defend passively. As for whether one could block it or not, it would be another story. Swoosh! There was a small green water in the yard, and under Yi Chen's sword attack, it was immediately split open. The most surprising thing was that after the green water was split open, it did not close up, as if it had always been like this. Moreover, the cut surface was so soft that it did not look like it had been split open by a sharp weapon. Finally completed. Yi Chen stopped training. Turning around, Yi Chen saw the disciples of the side branch of the Yi family whose faces were all red. What is your name? Yi Chen asked. Yi. Yi Xiaoshui. Yi Chen revealed a smile and said, your sword art is not bad. For him to be able to complete the gold pattern, it was all thanks to him. Of course, it was also because he was training with a soft sword. If it were another sword, he would not have been able to comprehend it. Chapter 625. Being complimented by Yi Chen, Yi Xiaoshui was extremely excited. Although Yi Chen was about the same age as him, there was a huge gap between them. One was a Seas of Souls realm warrior, while the other was only an early clasping Yuan realm warrior. One was famous throughout the whole True Spirit continent, while the other was not even that famous in the Windy Nation. Being complimented by Yi Chen was undoubtedly something that many of the new warriors had been dreaming about. This Sky Water Sword spell is for you. If you can master it, very few warriors under the late clasping Yuan realm would be able to compete with you. Taking out a book with a blue cover, Yi Chen handed it over to Yi Xiaoshui. Sky Water Sword spell. For me. Yi Xiaoshui knew that it was something special once he heard the name, so he took over the book excitedly. "Alright, I won't disturb your rest anymore." After giving the book to Yi Xiaoshui, Yi Chen left the Yi family with Murong Qingqing, Yi Xian, and Yi Xiaoxiao. Meanwhile, Yi Xiaoshui still felt like he was dreaming, watching Yi Chen's back as he walked away. Only when Yi Chen and the other three disappeared from his sight did he come back to his senses. "First Sky True Water Sword Art, I wonder what grade it is." Yi Xiaoshui opened the cover and read, "Sky Water Sword Spell, High Rank Earth Realm Sword Art." There are 16 movements in total, and the last movement is powerful enough to compete with top-rank Earth Realm Sword movements. It is actually a high-rank Earth Realm Sword Art, and it is one of the top ones. Normally, if the last movement could be one rank higher, it meant that this sword art would be the top one among all the other sword arts of the same rank. Although there were a lot of secret manuals in the Yi family, including many secret manuals of sword arts, his talent was not top-notch. At most, he could learn low-rank Earth Realm sword arts. If he could have a mid-rank Earth Realm sword art, he would be satisfied. As for high-rank Earth Realm sword arts, it was something he could only dream of. He did not expect that at this moment, he would actually have a high-rank Earth Realm sword art in his hands. He was so excited that he could not speak. In fact, he did not know that if it were not for his talent and comprehensive ability, Yi Chen was planning to give him a top-rank Earth Realm sword art. For Yi Chen, top-rank Earth Realm martial arts were not that precious anyway, so it was normal for him to give one out once in a while. After all, it was because of him that Yi Chen was able to train his gold pattern to completion, which was not something that a top-rank Earth Realm martial art could compare with. However, it also depended on the target. If he gave a top-rank Earth Realm sword art to Yi Chen, who knew when he would be able to learn it? What Yi Chen did not know was that his small action today had brought another famous sword artist to the Yi family. But of course, that was a story for another time. Last time, Li Zhao from the Evil Blood Martial School from the Rudra Nation beat me with only 3 attacks, relying on his high-rank sword art. 3 months, give me 3 months, I will definitely teach him a lesson. Because of Yi Chen, the young generation of the Windy Nation had all set their sights on the outside world. They were no longer complacent and arrogant. They all had a common understanding, which was that if they wanted to improve, they would have to go out and compete with the others, since the outside world was huge. After the completion of his gold pattern, Yi Chen finally let go of everything else and took his brother and sister to travel around, with Murong Qingqing accompanying him. The places to travel were not only limited to the Windy Nation, but also a lot of countries in the South Rudra region that they had never been to before. They even left their footprints in some of the famous historical sites, along with the laughter of Yi Xiaoxiao and Yi Xian. Of course, they returned after 2 days. On this day, something happened that shocked the entire South Rudra region. In every city in every country in the South Rudra region, there was a store with the name Knowledge Pavilion on it. Some of them were newly built, and some were renovated from other buildings. But, without exception, they were all very spacious and luxurious. And, there was only one kind of product inside, which was books. What kind of books? The book with the name Master Warrior Ranking written on the cover. As for what a Master Warrior was, besides some of the normal people who had never seen the world, everyone knew about it. There were 72 Grandmasters listed on the Grandmaster ranking, and every one of them was terrifyingly strong, capable of instantly killing an ordinary Grandmaster. After all, there were so many Grandmasters in the world, at least a few thousand. The 72 were naturally the elites of the elites, the Grandmasters of the Grandmasters. Once the ranking appeared in the South Rudra region, it immediately caused a great sensation. In fact, the South Rudra region was already a few days late. The Sky Martial region had released the ranking first, which was on the 10th of October. But, it was already December, which was a month late. After all, the True Spirit continent was way too big, and it would be impossible for the whole continent to have the ranking appear at the same time. But, it was only the first time, so it was inevitable that the time would be tight. If the other cities had the ranking, then Luo City would naturally have it as well. Outside of the pavilion, there was an ocean of people. All of the top warriors who had gotten the news had basically arrived, including some of the powerful martial artists who were close by. I got it. It is not expensive at all. Only 10 low-rank soul stones. I cannot squeeze in. How about we all look at it together? I have not even seen it yet. Why should I contribute it to everyone? Wait until you get it, then we can discuss it together. I will look at it myself first. Fuck, that's so disloyal. Even though they said that, the people who were talking were already trying their best to squeeze in. They were so anxious that they could not wait to get their hands on the ranking. Everyone, don't worry. There are so many of them. Everyone has one. 10 low-rank soul stones for one. The manager of the pavilion chuckled. No matter how many people there would be a time when they could get their hands on the ranking. After half an hour, the pavilion finally quieted down. The people coming in and out were not that scary anymore. Of course, it was not that quiet either. Every once in a while, there would be a lot of people coming to buy the ranking. It was just that it was not as crowded as before. In the restaurant. In the tea house. Almost every place with a lot of people was talking about the ranking. Look! Yi Chen has made it into the ranking as well. Where is it? Let me see. Ranked 48. At the same time, all of the big cities in the South Rudra region had reached a boiling point. Shopkeeper, give me a copy of the Grandmaster list. Li Daoxian arrived at the pavilion. Alright, here you go. The manager took out a brand new ranking book. The words were golden, and the cover was made of leather, which would be hard to destroy. Paying 10 low-rank soul stones, Li Daoxian walked out. Inside a tea house. Li Daoxian stared at the 48th name. There was only one word written on it, Yi Chen. Below it were all about Yi Chen's achievements and achievements. In other cities. Yan Qihua, Bing Ling, and the rest of the young martial geniuses from the same generation as Yi Chen had all gone to buy the ranking. Without any surprise, they saw Yi Chen's name. It was not low at all, being 48th. In the whole South region, there were only 4 people in the ranking, and Yi Chen was the only one in the South Rudra region. Among the 4, Yi Chen had the highest rank, and was also the youngest. The second youngest was already 80 years old, and the remaining 2 were both over 100 years old. Some were even close to 200 years old. Most importantly, among the 72 people in the ranking, there were only 6 who were under 30 years old. It was not hard to imagine how powerful the 48th rank was. Chapter 626. Murong Qingqing stayed at the Yi family for a week before going back to the Murong family. Inside the elegant yard, Yi Chen was drinking tea and reading a book in the pavilion in the middle of the lake, enjoying the lake breeze. The book was the master-level warrior ranking, and the tea was one of the most famous ones. Xia Beiding is ranked 5th. With his status in the martial world, as well as the title of the #1 blade artist, he deserves to be ranked 5th. But, I did not expect these 4 old monsters to be this powerful. They are all top martial geniuses of their generation. Although they have not reached the life and death realm yet, they should not be underestimated either. Perhaps they are already half-step king warriors. Every generation, there would be a lot of martial geniuses who could not reach the life and death realm, since according to the rules of the past, there would only be 10 king warriors every 100 years. On average, there would be 1 every 10 years. No matter how powerful the others were in their generation, they would never be able to reach the life and death realm. As for half-step king realm, it was not easy to become one either. If one could not become a half-step king within 100 years, then under normal circumstances, it would be impossible to become one for the rest of one's life. Only if one could obtain a rare supreme-grade treasure could one have the hope of improving one's constitution and continuing to progress. These four old monsters could only be half-step kings, but it was not certain. After all, their ages were all 100 or 200 years old, and some were even older. Who knew if they had become half-step kings before the age of 100? Just like those barbarians who were chasing after Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng, they were only close to half-step king warrior level, but not yet. 7th, Bai Wuxia. 8th, Lu Xiaoyu. 13th, Xia Hozuan. 18th, Xiao Chuha. 25th, Godly Shark Princess. Next, Yi Chen saw the ranking of the top 5 young warriors. The top 5 young warriors were all ranked very high. Among them, Bai Wuxia was ranked the highest. He was actually close to Xie Beiding, being ranked 7th. Lu Xiaoyu was ranked 8th, followed by Xia Hozuan, who was ranked 13th, and Xiao Chuha, who was ranked 18th. As for the Godly Shark Princess, she was ranked the last among the 5, ranked 25th. It seemed like not fighting for a long time would affect her ranking as well. Bai Wuxia's battle with Xia Hozuan had made him the leader of the top 5 young warriors. However, Yi Chen did not think that the ranking was that accurate. The ranking was only a reference. If one were to take it too seriously, one would suffer a huge loss sooner or later. If one was unlucky, one might even lose their head. For example, if one's rank was higher than the opponent's and thought that he could beat the opponent, then he would be beaten. Of course, in Yi Chen's opinion, among the top 5 young warriors, besides the Godly Shark Princess, the ranking of the other 4 would be quite accurate. Bai Wuxia's power was indeed immeasurable. Although he had only barely won against Xia Hozuan, that star nuclear finger attack of Xia Hozuan's was very powerful. Bai Wuxia had won under the situation where he was being suppressed. No matter his battling power or battling experience, they were both immeasurable. It would not be an exaggeration to rank him first, and the others would not have any doubts about it either. And the reason why the Sword Master was ranked before Xia Hozuan was because of his identity as a sword artist. Sword artists were very hard to counter. Xia Hozuan could use his star nuclear finger art to counter Bai Wuxia, but he would not be able to counter Lu Xiaoyu, who was the sword master. After all, sword artists were usually good at attacking, and they rarely used it on defense. Therefore, once Lu Xiaoyu and Xia Hozuan battled, they would only be attacking each other, and the star nuclear finger art would not be able to lock onto the latter. But why was Lu Xiaoyu still ranked below Bai Wuxia? The reason was simple. Bai Wuxia was able to beat Lu Xiaoyu when he was being suppressed. Then, it would be even easier for him to fight against Lu Xiaoyu, who was good at attacking. After the battle at the Nine Dragon Lake, everyone knew about Bai Wuxia's defensive power. As for Xiao Chuha, Yi Chen could not really comment on it either. This guy's movements were very simple, and each of his attacks were all ace attacks. Facing him, it would be very hard to decide the winner quickly. But it was also because of this that his style was more average than the other 4. He was more stable, but not aggressive enough. As for the Godly Shark Princess, Yi Chen had never seen her before, so he would not try to guess. Besides the top 5 young warriors, the top 25 warriors were all above 60 years old, while the oldest was almost 250 years old. There would definitely be master-level warriors above the age of 250 who would be able to make it into the ranking. But, after 250 years old, there would still be a few warriors who cared too much about fame and fortune. Their only wish was to reach the life and death realm while they were still alive. Otherwise, they would be dead for sure in a few decades. Plus, the first page of the ranking had also mentioned that people who were over 250 years old would not be able to make it into the ranking. The pavilion did not want to make this ranking, which would put these old warriors in a difficult situation, since it would not go with the purpose of making the ranking. Baghdad, the headmaster of the Bronze Tiger tribe, ranked 10th. Inadvertently, Yi Chen saw a familiar name. It was the Bronze Tiger tribe. According to the introduction, this Baghdad was the headmaster of the Bronze Tiger tribe. He was 180 years old, and his power was close to half-step king warrior level. Could it be that barbarian who was chasing after me and Murong? If it is him, then he would indeed be in the top 10. I did not expect the information of the pavilion to be this powerful. Even the master-level barbarian warriors are on there. If it were not for Murong forcefully pushing her demon power essence, it would be very hard for the two to leave. Plus, with the addition of Dream-Eating Wolf, they would not have much confidence. One of the top 3 master-level blade artists, Lin Chaonan, ranked 19th. The former master-level blade artist, Shen Qianlang, ranked 28th. The leader of the floating snow palace, Snow Sword Master, ranked 39th. Soon, Yi Chen saw his own ranking, which was 48th. Besides the introduction of his personal achievements and battle records, there was also a special evaluation. The evaluation said, in the past 1,000 years, there have been 4 top martial geniuses. The first is Xianhou Yan Qingxian, who has learned about life and death as a girl. Her mysterious martial art is unparalleled in the world. Then, there is Duguju Dan Tai Mingyue. The first 2 have been famous for a long time, and are the top 2 martial geniuses in the Sky Martial region. Only Yi Chen has risen up step by step from a small martial institution. His willpower, mentality, and determination are rare. Yi Chen smiled lightly. The pavilion had given him quite a high evaluation. But, it was just an evaluation after all, and no one else would know about him. Right after that, Yi Chen noticed that there was another person from the Dragon God Celestial Palace who was also in the master-level warrior ranking. It was indeed the leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace, Zhang Zhenghuang. Of course, Yi Chen did not think that the other 4 palace leaders would not be qualified to be in the ranking, since the Dragon God Celestial Palace was located in the East Shallow Ocean area, which was already out of the continent's range. Since the Yellow Dragon Palace was located in the East region, it would naturally be counted in the continent as well. There are too many powerful warriors, and none of them are easy to deal with. Glancing at the 4 big words on the title page, World Master, Yi Chen closed the book. On the 10th day after returning to the South Rudra region, Murong Jishui had finally made the antidote for the shadowless poison. After swallowing it, the shadowless poison in Su Ruhui's body disappeared immediately. Not only that, the seal that Xianhou had left in her body had also helped her a lot, saving her the trouble of taking care of her body. Su Ruhui was safe and sound, which made Murong Jishui and Murong Qingqing extremely happy. Half a year of depression and fear had disappeared within a day. Murong Jishui purposely threw a huge banquet for 3 days, and invited Yi Chen and Yi Chen's parents to come as well. With the parents of the 2 families together, they naturally had endless things to talk about. In the end, Murong Jishui and Yi Tianhao got drunk, which was a rare occasion. The peaceful days passed by quickly, and another 3 months had passed in a blink of an eye. There was only half a year left before the battle between Yi Chen and Duguju. During these 3 months, a lot of things had happened again, such as Chu Zhongtian finally reaching the Sea of Souls realm. Chu Zhongtian had the evil spirit body, and once he reached the Sea of Souls realm, he became terrifyingly powerful. He went to the Sky Martial region alone, beating a lot of young martial geniuses from the bottom to the top. In the end, he went to challenge Lin Tian, who had lost to Yi Chen before. After exchanging hundreds of attacks, he won. The battling power he had shown had scared a lot of martial geniuses in the Sky Martial region. A lot of people were discussing that Chu Zhongtian might be the next martial genius after the top 3 martial geniuses. However, different from the top 3, Chu Zhongtian's power was in his body. The evil spirit body was one of the rarest body types in history. What he trained was not Jin Yuan, but evil Yuan. When he was at the astral reaching realm, the evil Yuan's power was already horrifying enough. As Chu Zhongtian reached the Sea of Souls realm, his evil Yuan became even more powerful. In other words, every time he reached the next realm, Chu Zhongtian's advantage in terms of evil Yuan would increase. The others would need to use profound sense to increase their battling power, but Chu Zhongtian only needed to use his evil yuan to cancel out the advantage. It was indeed a body type that people were jealous of. After beating Lin Tian, Chu Zhongtian did not arrogantly challenge the top 5 young warriors, since he knew that his cultivation was still too low. He was only at the early Sea of Soul's realm, and because of his evil yuan, normal pellets and spirit plants would not be able to help him reach the peak level from the early Sea of Soul's realm. With Chu Zhongtian being so eye-catching, the martial institutions and families that he belonged to were naturally overjoyed. They started to search for special medicines all over the world, since they knew that whether or not their martial institutions and families would be able to reach the next level would depend on Chu Zhongtian. Compared to Chu Zhongtian, Jing Aoshuan and Li Xiaoyun, who used to be on par with Chu Zhongtian and were even slightly more powerful than him, seemed to be very dim. Of course, it was not their fault. Their comprehensive abilities were definitely top-notch, but compared to the people in the Sky Martial region, they would not be able to gain an advantage in any aspect, since they did not have Chu Zhongtian's evil spirit body. As long as they increased their cultivation, they would be able to increase their battling power drastically. In the southern regions, only Yi Chen's light was still shining brightly. Even Chu Zhongtian would have to stay under Yi Chen's light for a while, unless he had the power to beat Yi Chen. The southern regions had Yi Chen and Chu Zhongtian, and there was also an extremely bright martial genius in the north region called Bai Minghui. He had beaten a lot of young warriors with only his spear. Originally, it was not that big of a deal, since there were a lot of martial geniuses in the Sky Martial region. It would be normal if there were one more or one less. But, what happened next shocked everyone. Bai Minghui and Lan Shiqing, as well as a group of young warriors around Lan Shiqing, had gotten into a conflict and started to fight. However, the result was out of everyone's expectation. He had chased after Lan Shiqing and the group of young warriors for millions of miles, and had even pushed them back to their own martial institutions. After that, everyone was shocked. The great era had arrived, and all the martial geniuses had risen up. There were 2 top martial geniuses in the middle, 2 top martial geniuses in the south, and a shocking martial genius in the north. Above them were the top 5 young warriors. Adding those famous young warriors, the whole true spirit continent was in a mess. It was like a muddy water, and no one could figure out what was going on. It seemed like it was not messy enough. At the beginning of March, Duguju challenged someone in the North Swallow River. His opponent was Luo Haisong, who was just as powerful as Lin Tian and Lan Shiqing. There were hundreds of thousands of people watching the battle. The two had only exchanged 10 attacks, and Duguju had won. Chapter 627. Although Duguju had beaten Tai Shichong in the Nine-Dragon Lake, Tai Shichong's fame and power were still slightly weaker than Luo Haisong's. Plus, when he beat Tai Shichong, Duguju had suffered quite a bit of internal injury as well. However, it was different this time. Facing Luo Haisong, who was even more powerful than Tai Shichong, Duguju had only used 10 attacks to beat him completely without being wounded at all. Regarding this result, everyone could only use monster to describe Duguju. Only a monster would be able to increase his power by a couple of levels within half a year. In a mid-sized city in the Sky Martial region, inside the Wind Restaurant, inside the massive VIP room, dozens of young men with extraordinary looks were drinking and chatting. Among them, the young man in silver robes was the most eye-catching. He had a silver crown on his head, and his body was tall and muscular. His face was like jade, and his eyes were like stars. His eyebrows were all the way up to his temples, making him look like a dragon flying into the sky. There was a hint of evil chi around him, but at the same time, it gave people a sense of power. On the long table right next to him, there was a bright silver long spear. A silver dragon was coiled around the body of the spear, its head sticking out of the spear. Brother Baiming, right now, everyone is talking about how Lan Shiqing and his friends were chased by you for 1,000,000 miles and had to run back to their own martial institutions. It seems like your name has spread out all over the Sky Martial region. Soon, it will spread out all over the true spirit continent. One of them said to the young man in silver robes. Another person continued, if Brother Biming hadn't been hiding his strength and biding his time in the Black Warrior domain, how could those self-proclaimed extraordinary young geniuses have the chance to boast about themselves? Brother Biming, this is called shocking the world with a single brilliant feat, yeah. I think in the whole continent, only Brother Biming has the chance to replace the top 5 young warriors. Everyone else would have to step aside. The young man in silver robes was indeed Biming Hui, who had gained a lot of fame recently. He was 28 years old this year, and was the young master of the Biming family in the Black Warrior region. He had been learning spear arts since he was young, and he had brought out a powerful spear attack, Sky Bank. During the battle with Lan Shiqing, he had only used the starting movement of Sky Bank, and it had already made his opponent puke blood. His lips curled slightly as he said lightly, the so-called top young warriors are only in name. They do not even make me want to try my best. Lan Shiqing was only a clown in his eyes. In his eyes, Lan Shiqing's age, Lan Shiqing, had been famous for a long. In his eyes, Shiqing, warrior Biming Qing, Yi Shiqing, was. Brother Biming, although Lan Shiqing is not worth mentioning, that Du Gujue is still very powerful. I heard that he had beaten Luo Haisong, who was just as famous as Lan Shiqing, with only 10 attacks. When he threw out his 10th blade attack, the whole river was cut in half by him. Since there were people who flattered him, there were naturally people who warned him. Hearing the name Duguju, the smile on Biming Hui's face disappeared. Indeed, Duguju was not something that Lan Shiqing could compare with. Pfft. Brother Lan, you are just boosting the others' morale. Although Duguju is one of the top 2 martial geniuses in the Sky Martial region, he still needed 10 attacks to beat Luo Haisong. So, he should not be that powerful. Brother Biming beat Lan Shiqing in 7 attacks. The first person retorted. You cannot say it like that. Half a year ago, in the 9-Dragon Lake, Luo Haisong had used an attack that would kill 1,000 of his enemies and 800 of his own to beat Tai Shichong. Right now, his power has increased drastically, and he can take care of Luo Haisong within 10 attacks without risking his life. If he uses that attack, the result would be very obvious. As soon as he said those words, the people who wanted to refute him could no longer do so. What had happened in the 9-Dragon Mountain had already been spread to every corner of the true spirit continent by the tens of thousands of spectators. Duguju's blade attack in such a desperate situation was indeed frightening. Biming Hui said, Duguju is indeed not to be underestimated. If there is a chance, I will battle with him and see what kind of monster he is. The North region was basically ruled by the barbarian race. Although the Biming family was a rank 5 family with a life and death realm warrior guarding it, compared to the barbarian race, it was not even worth mentioning. Fortunately, although the barbarian race did not like the human race, it was not to the point where they had to kill each other. If they really dared to do that, it would not be the human race that would be killed, but the barbarian race itself. Living in an environment like this in the North region, Biming Hui had felt the power of the barbarian race since he was young. Therefore, he had never stopped trying to make himself stronger. For him, no matter who it was, he would surpass them. Hearing him, everyone was a bit confused. After being together for a long time, they had gradually realized that although Biming Hui looked very calm and did not care about anything, he was actually very strong inside. If he had the confidence, he would definitely challenge Duguju. After all, although Duguju had a horrifying blade attack that could kill 1,000 enemies and oneself, Biming Hui also had a powerful spear attack like Sky Bank. As for being completely safe, it was not quite possible, since Biming Hui was a martial genius, but Duguju was still the top martial genius of the Sky Martial region. If he improved, so would the other. How could there be a perfect chance? Biming Hui seemed to know what everyone was thinking, so he laughed and said, before the battle with Duguju, I will have to beat Yi Chen first. What? His words had shocked everyone, and they all looked at Bai Minghui confusedly. Brother Bai Ming, do not be reckless. Half a year ago, even Dugu Ju did not dare to fight with Yi Chen, and they had set a 1-year deadline. If you ask me, you should challenge Dugu Ju first, and then Yi Chen. No one dared to underestimate Yi Chen, not even those people who were trying to flatter Bai Minghui before. Among all the martial geniuses in the continent, besides the top 5 young warriors, only Yi Chen was in the master-level warrior ranking. This kind of fame and power was like a huge mountain pressing on the hearts of all the young warriors. Yeah. Yi Chen is even more difficult to deal with than Dugu Ju. It is still too early now. No one could understand why Bai Minghui would challenge Yi Chen first. Logically speaking, Bai Minghui should have known how powerful Yi Chen was. Bai Minghui said lightly, I naturally have my reasons for challenging Yi Chen first. Pausing for a second, Bai Minghui continued, let me ask you guys, Dugu Ju has a killing attack that would kill 1,000 enemies and 800 allies. What does Yi Chen have? This. Everyone seemed to understand what Bai Minghui was trying to say. Bai Minghui continued to say, indeed, Yi Chen was even more brilliant than Dugu Ju half a year ago. But now, Dugu Ju is catching up. Even if his overall power is not as powerful as Yi Chen, as long as he uses that powerful blade attack, he would still have the confidence to beat Yi Chen. Plus, Yi Chen might not have made much progress during this half a year. Perhaps his overall power is only at the same level as Dugu Ju. Once Dugu Ju uses his ace attack, Yi Chen will lose for sure, and my Sky Bank will beat Yi Chen as well. Bai Minghui was very clear that with his current power, battling with Dugu Ju would only have a 50% chance of winning. Therefore, he did not think that there was a need to challenge Dugu Ju right now. It would be great if he won, but if he lost, it would only make him a stepping stone for his opponent, which would make his opponent even more powerful. On the other hand, Yi Chen had been quiet for half a year, so no one knew exactly how powerful he was. But, Bai Minghui did not think that his improvement would be that crazy, and he would have a higher chance of winning than Dugu Ju. But Yi Chen is ranked 48th after all. Someone said. Bai Minghui smiled lightly, remember, this is the ranking from half a year ago. Right now, the ranking will only be revealed in the second ranking. After Chu Zhongtian stayed in the Sky Martial region for a while, he returned to the southern regions. For some reason, he suddenly had the idea of going to the South Rudra region to check it out. Among the top 4 warriors in the southern regions, he was the last one to reach the Sea of Souls realm. Yi Chen was the first, and Jing Yaoshuan and Li Xiaoyun were the second. Of course, right now, he had already surpassed Jing Yaoshuan and Li Xiaoyun, and was only second to Yi Chen. Therefore, he wanted to see exactly what level Yi Chen was at, and how big the gap between them was. But, he had not decided if he should meet with Yi Chen or not, and if he should challenge him. But, if he did not challenge him, how would he know the gap between them? Whatever, I will go check it out first. Pushing his evil yuan, Chu Zhongtian's speed increased to its limit. Like a dark red shooting star, he sliced through the sky and disappeared within a second. Flying above the Star Regional Lake, Chu Zhongtian frowned slightly as he turned his head to look. In the northwest direction, beams of light were flying toward the South Rudra region. The leader was a young man in silver robes, carrying a bright silver long spear on his back. There was a silver dragon coiling around the body of the spear, with the tip of the spear sticking out. The group of people behind him were all not ordinary warriors. At least, Chu Zhongtian could tell that some of them had qi that was even more powerful than Jing Yaoshuan and Li Xiaoyun. Young man in silver robes, silver dragon long spear. Could it be Bai Minghui? What are they going to do in the South Rudra region? Chu Zhongtian did not expect that these people were going for Yi Chen. Never mind, they can do whatever they want. I will do what I want. Chu Zhongtian did not think that he would be going the same way as them. Flying past the Star Regional Lake, Chu Zhongtian flew directly toward the mountains where the Murong family was. The Murong family was quite close to him after all. If Yi Chen was there, then it would save him some time. But, if he was not there, then going to the Yi family in the Windy Nation would not be too much of a detour. However, what surprised Chu Zhongtian was that Bai Minghui and the group were also heading toward the Murong family, and they had already noticed him. They are not going for Yi Chen, are they? Chu Zhongtian could not believe it at all. He did not think that Bai Minghui was going there as a guest, and he had never heard that Yi Chen and Bai Minghui were friends. So, excluding this possibility, the conclusion was obvious. Bai Minghui was going for a challenge, or at least a sparring session. A smile appeared on Chu Zhongtian's face. He was still thinking about how to find out Yi Chen's real power, but he did not expect that he would not even need to do anything. Judging from the current situation, Chu Zhongtian knew that he was not an opponent for Bai Minghui in Deguju. But, he was not in a hurry, since he had just reached the Sea of Soul's realm, and it was the time for him to make rapid progress. Therefore, he only needed to know the gap between them. Bai Minghui challenging Yi Chen would definitely show him the gap. It seems like I have made the right decision this time. Chu Zhongtian followed right behind Bai Minghui in the group, maintaining a distance of dozens of miles. The people behind Bai Minghui noticed Chu Zhongtian, so they said, "Brother Bai Ming, this person is following us. Should we get rid of him?" Bai Minghui said, "There is no need for more trouble. I am going to challenge Yi Chen, and I am not interested in him at all. If he wants to come, then come. It would be nice to have another audience." This time, he was going to challenge Yi Chen secretly, and only these people knew about it. So, it would not be a bad thing to have Chu Zhongtian, an outsider. Chapter 628. 100 miles behind the Murong clan, there was a beautiful mountain peak. The mountain peak was lush with plants. It was much more verdant and full of vitality than the surrounding mountains. Although the mountain peak was not very big, it still had a radius of 7 or 8 miles. Inside the mountain peak, there was a small valley. The walls of the valley were covered with vines, and red flowers were growing beautifully. Inside the valley, there was a large meadow. The meadow was dotted with countless yellow dots, which were flower buds that were about to bloom. In the middle of the meadow, a young man in blue was sitting cross-legged, breathing the yuan qi in the valley. 2 months ago, the amaranthan nature reached 120%. 1 month ago, the fast profound was integrated into the amaranthan nature. 1 week ago, a new sword movement was born. However, in this week, I only breathed in the yuan qi and felt the movement of the heaven and earth, as well as the vitality of the plants. I didn't practice the sword movement. I wonder if I have made any progress in this sword movement. The fast profound was too difficult to understand. It was not a property, nor was it a tangible thing. It was completely virtual. Therefore, Yi Chen could only understand it by observing the movement of the heaven and earth. For example, when the wind blew, it was the movement of the air. For example, when a bird flew across the sky, it was as fast as an arrow. For example, when plants grew at a slow speed, it was all in a state of motion. Since it was moving, it must be related to the speed. Of course, compared to the slow profound, the fast profound was much easier to understand. As for integrating the fast profound into the amaranthan nature, it was an idea that came to him several months ago. Yi Chen could feel that the simple fast profound was not that useful. No matter how fast one's sword was, it would be useless if it could not break through the defense. However, if he integrated the fast profound into the amaranthan nature, it would be different. The power of the amaranthan nature was extraordinary, and its speed was also extremely fast. If he integrated the fast profound into the amaranthan nature, it would be even faster and more powerful. It was lucky that Yi Chen's soul was so strong that ordinary people couldn't compare to him. Fast power Upanishad, which was something intangible, was easy for him to grasp. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to fuse the fast power Upanishad with the amaranthine vitality. In the past, I thought that the profound of wood and the profound of speed had nothing to do with each other. Now, it seems that they are related. The profound of wood is the profound of the growth of plants. When plants grow, they naturally have different speeds. It's impossible for them to grow all at once. Not far in front of the Murong clan, streams of flowing light flew over. The person in the lead was dressed in silver clothes and carried a silver dragon spear on his back. Feeling that oppressive aura, the Murong family boiled up. It was almost all of a sudden that dozens of Sea of Souls realm warriors shot into the sky. Who are you? It was Murong Wu, an elder of the Murong family, who was also one of Murong Qingqing's uncles. Someone right next to Bai Minghui yelled, "Is Yi Chen here?" Murong Wu frowned, "Why are you looking for him?" "He is training right now." Yi Chen would only come to the Murong family once in a while, and this time, he was coincidentally here. "Oh, since he is here, then send a message to him. Tell him to come out and fight." "Fight? Who is he going to fight?" Murong Wu was not surprised at all. Once one became famous, there would naturally be a lot of people coming to challenge him. Subconsciously, his eyes locked onto the young man in silver. "Me." The young man said lightly. "Who are you?" "Bai Minghui." Right then, a lot of people from the Murong family had come out, including the leader of the Murong family, Murong Jishui, Su Ruhui, and Murong Qingcheng. Hearing him, a loud discussion was heard. "What? Bai Minghui? He is indeed Bai Minghui. Silver robe, silver crown, silver dragon spear. It is indeed Bai Minghui's outfit. I cannot believe that he would come here to challenge Warrior Yi. He is overestimating himself. Warrior Yi has been famous for a long time, and even Dugu Ju would not dare to challenge him in advance. He has only become famous recently, and he had only beaten Lan Xiqing, who had lost to Warrior Yi before. What is there to be proud of? Challenging him just like that? Does he think Warrior Yi is their sparring partner?" The name Bai Minghui had indeed shocked everyone from the Murong family a bit, since he was able to chase Lan Xiqing all the way back to his martial school. It was not something that normal people could do. But, it would depend on who it was. If he were to challenge Dugu Ju, no one would say anything about it. But challenging Yi Chen would be an act of arrogance. On a cliff a couple of miles away, Chu Zhongtian looked over and mumbled to himself, "It seems like Yi Chen is indeed here. I wonder if he will accept the challenge. I think he will. This Bai Minghui is so aggressive, so he will not just leave like this." "What? Is Yi Chen afraid to come out and accept the challenge?" The man on the left of Bai Minghui mocked. Hearing him, Murong Jishui walked out and studied Bai Minghui and the people behind him before saying, "I am the leader of the Murong family, Murong Jishui. Warrior Bai Ming, since you want to challenge Yi Chen, then let's set a time. Yi Chen is training right now, so he does not have the time to accept the challenge. Plus, I do not know if he will accept the challenge or not." Bai Minghui sneered, "His time is precious, but is mine not? Why don't you ask him to come out? I will see if he will accept the challenge or not." Murong Jishui's face slightly darkened as he said, "Warrior Bai Ming, if my information is not wrong, you should have only become famous in the past couple of months, right? That Lan Xiqing that you beat had also lost to Yi Chen before. If you think that beating Lan Xiqing would give you the chance to fight against Yi Chen, then you will be very disappointed." Bai Minghui squinted his eyes, "You mean that my power is not enough to challenge Yi Chen? Since Warrior Bai Ming has made it clear, then I will be honest as well. Yi Chen will not be afraid of challenges, but it must be worthwhile. A battle without any value would not interest him at all. If you interrupt his training right now, it would not be worth it for him." Yi Chen was his future son-in-law, so Murong Jishui would naturally speak for him. He did not want any random person to challenge him, since it would only exhaust him to death. He. Bai Minghui chuckled as if he was talking to himself. It seems like if I do not reveal some of my power, I will not be able to see Yi Chen today. Oh well, before I challenge someone, I should indeed tell them what kind of power I have. If you can take one spear attack of mine, then I will leave right away without saying anything. But, if you cannot, then you should go ask Yi Chen to come out. Bai Minghui took out the long spear on his back and held it up high. One attack. Murong Jishui's eyebrows flicked. Although he was not a top master level warrior, it was still impossible for him to not be able to handle one attack. But, just in case, Murong Jishui turned both of his arms into demons, and that powerful demonic Jin Yuan shot out into the sky. Heaven's Edge. Bai Minghui slowly spat out the two words as he held the long spear with his right hand, stabbing out a seemingly slow but actually fast spear attack. Father, watch out. Murong Qingqing's eyebrows twitched as the black bat wings on her back expanded at an unimaginable speed. Her body flashed once, and she was about to charge out. Unfortunately, it was still too late. Boom! Murong Jishui was blown backward with a shocked expression on his face. A circular qi wave appeared on his chest, and in the center of that qi wave, there was a tiny blood spot. Shoo! The winged Murong Qingqing appeared right in front of Murong Jishui. It was so fast that it looked like she was teleporting, leaving behind a very vivid shadow behind her. Such a fast speed. Bai Minghui was a bit surprised. This Heaven's Edge of his was the starting movement of his sky bank attack. With one spear attack, the sky would be just inches away from him. Obviously, although Murong Qingqing's speed was slower than his spear, it was not that much slower. Of course, it was also because he had not used all of his power yet. Interesting. Bai Minghui was starting to get interested in Murong Qingqing. I am fine. Murong Jishui was afraid that Su Ruhui and Murong Qingqing would worry too much, so he hurried to say. He was shocked deep down, thinking, such a fast spear speed. I have already prepared for it, but I still cannot see the spear's trajectory. In other words, if he wants to kill me, he would only need one spear attack. One spear attack to kill me. A bitter expression appeared on Murong Jishui's face. Jishui. Su Ruhui ran over and helped Murong Jishui up. Patting Su Ruhui's hand, Murong Jishui lifted up his head and took a deep breath before saying, "All right, I will send someone to invite Yi Chen over right now. But, it is not up to me whether he will accept the challenge or not. Father, I will go." Seeing that her father was fine, Murong Qingqing opened her black bat wings and flew toward where Yi Chen was training. Soon, she turned into a black dot in the distance. Bai Minghui watched Murong Qingqing's back as a strange light flashed through his eyes. How could this Bai Minghui be so powerful? I could not even tell how he threw out that spear attack. It seemed like one stab, and our leader was blown away. Yeah. No wonder he dares to challenge our future son-in-law warrior. Everyone exchanged glances, feeling that something was not right. On top of the cliff, Chu Zhongtian frowned. That spear was too fast, and I would not be able to dodge it. I wonder how powerful it would be. His evil spirit body had a very powerful defense, and even the barbarians, who were famous for their defense, would be child's play compared to him. Therefore, even though the spear was fast, it did not pose much of a threat to him. A couple of months ago, when he battled with Lin Tian, even Lin Tian, who was a body-training warrior, was shocked half to death by him. He thought that he had run into a powerful body-training warrior. On the meadow in the valley, Yi Chen let out a breath, which touched the grass. The color of the grass looked even brighter, and it seemed to have grown a little bit. Slowly standing up, Yi Chen held a normal longsword in his right hand and waved it slightly. The sword wind was like a gentle breeze, but one could not see its trajectory or shape at all. It was as if one could only feel a gentle breeze on one's face without knowing where it was coming from or how fast it was. It was like an illusion. A horrifying scene happened. Wherever the sword wind went, the grass on the meadow started to grow at a miraculous speed. Within a blink of an eye, it was already knee-high. Those flower buds that had not bloomed yet also started to open. There were 4 yellow petals, and each of them had grown to their limit. With one sword attack, the plants grew, and the flowers bloomed. Ordinary wood profound wouldn't be able to do this. Or, in other words, with Yi Chen's current wood profound, he wouldn't be able to do it. The reason why he was able to do this was because his wood profound had fused with the fast profound, which had the effect of accelerating the growth of plants. Not to mention anything else, just the profoundness of this sword attack alone would not be weaker than the completed gold pattern. But of course, Yi Chen had not revealed the power of the gold pattern yet. Chapter 629. This sword attack should not be called Amaranthan nature anymore. Let's call it the spiritual sword attack. The spiritual sword attack was not very appropriate, but it did not matter. A name was a name after all, and it did not really matter what it was called. Putting away his sword, Yi Chen lifted his head and looked in the direction of the Murong family. In the sky, a black dot flew over at a fast speed. Soon, it became bigger, revealing a beautiful body and a huge black bat wing on her back. Murong, what's up? As Yi Chen was talking, Murong Qingcheng had already appeared in the valley. Her black bat wings were flapping slowly, causing the plants to stick to the ground. You should know about Bai Minghui. He is right outside the family right now, saying that he wants to challenge you. Murong Qingcheng said. Bai Minghui. Yi Chen nodded. He had heard about this person before. Judging from how he had beaten Lan Shiqing with only 7 attacks, this person was very powerful, even more powerful than him half a year ago. Plus, since he could beat Lan Shiqing with only 7 attacks, he must have some hidden ace attacks. Alright, I will go right now. Yi Chen did not care too much about it. Murong Qingcheng wanted to say something, but then she said, you should be careful. He is very powerful. He had beaten my father with only 1 spear attack, and my father could not react at all. Extreme spear speed, eh? Yi Chen had an idea of what it was. Before she left, Murong Qingcheng accidentally glanced at the grass in the valley. What made her curious was that there was a patch of grass that was extremely lush. The plants were all knee-high, full of life. All of the flowers had bloomed, which did not fit in with the rest of the grass. Soon, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng arrived at the Murong family. Warrior Yi is here. I am so nervous. I wonder how Warrior Yi is going to take on Bai Minghui. He is not that easy to deal with. That spear speed is so horrifying. Yeah, he must have come prepared. Everyone was talking among themselves, and their gazes were all focused on Yi Chen, who was dressed in blue. You're Yi Chen. Bai Minghui looked a bit serious. Although he had chosen to challenge Yi Chen first because he thought that Yi Chen would be a bit easier to take on than Duguju, it was just a thought, and he could not be sure. So, it was necessary to be cautious. Yi Chen said, that's right. Great. I, Bai Minghui, will challenge you right here. I wonder if you dare to accept my challenge. Bai Minghui landed on the ground, holding his long spear in his hand. Since you could beat Lan Shiqing with 7 movements, you should be quite powerful. I accept your challenge. His strength should be pretty good. Bai Minghui looked a bit angry, he felt that Yi Chen was way too arrogant. Did he really think that he could beat him so easily? Enough nonsense, let's fight. The long spear was pointed at the ground as Bai Minghui's battle intent boiled. That aggressive Zhen Yuan was amplified by his spear intent, extending out countless spear shadows. It seemed like his entire body could shoot out spears, and there were no flaws at all. That sharp aura spread out in all directions. Such a strong spear intent. Everyone could not help but gasp. No wonder he could beat Lan Shiqing with only 7 movements. Just this spear intent alone has the power of a peak-level rank 4 warrior, which is only one step away from rank 5. Plus, it is even more powerful than normal warriors when it comes to using it. Yi Chen did not say anything as he placed his right hand on his gold sword. Kill! Bai Minghui roared as the muscles on his right arm expanded, exposing his blue veins. He threw out a spear attack toward Yi Chen. That sharp spear light was like a silver flood dragon, tearing apart the air and bringing up an ear-piercing metal exploding sound, as if a flood dragon was roaring. Chin! Yi Chen's eyes turned sharp all of a sudden as he took out his gold sword. That gold sword light twisted into an arc, landing heavily on that silver spear light. Boom! The silver dragon spear clashed with the golden sword, and a substantial shockwave spread out. A thick layer of soil was blown up under the feet of the two, and a dark mass of soil flew in all directions. It was a frightening scene. Ting! Dang! Bright sparks spilled everywhere as the two's speed was extremely fast. Within a blink of an eye, they had already switched to 6 or 7 different places, which made people feel a sense of helplessness. Silver Dragon 7 attack. That long spear in Bai Minghui's hand seemed to have come to life. The body of the spear was wrapped in that burning Jin Yuan, making a loud noise as it attacked toward Yi Chen. Yi Chen's expression did not change at all as he blocked out that long spear with his sword. The Silver Dragon 7 attacks had 7 variations in total, and hacking was only one of them. Then, it was a soft whipping attack, which was like a flood dragon waving its tail, slicing through the sky. After the whipping attack, it was followed by random stabs of the long spear. Countless spear flowers filled the air, locking down Yi Chen's entire body. Right after that, Bai Minghui's spear aura changed, attacking toward Yi Chen's lower body before flicking upward. It was an extremely powerful attack, as if it could blow away a mountain. Then, it was followed by a vicious stab, which seemed to be unstoppable. There were 5 attacks in a row, each of which was extremely dangerous. However, Yi Chen blocked them all out easily without using too much of his power. Seeing that Bai Minghui's 6th attack was about to arrive, Yi Chen groaned as he performed his sword steps, jumping right in front of the spear light. His gold sword slashed down vertically, and that crescent moon-like sword light filled up Bai Minghui's sight almost within a second. Not good. Bai Minghui did not have time to perform his 6th attack as he held his spear horizontally, blocking out Yi Chen's attack. Chin! That sword attack was extremely powerful, and the long spear in Bai Minghui's hand had been twisted into a bow. His arm went numb, and although Bai Minghui had blocked out that attack, he had been blown away by that sword power as well, shooting backward explosively. So powerful. Chu Zhongtian, who was watching from afar, squinted his eyes. Yi Chen was way more powerful than he had imagined. It would be fine if he did not fight back, but once he did, Bai Minghui might not be able to handle it. As for those young warriors who had followed Bai Minghui here, they all looked very serious. They did not think that Bai Minghui would be able to win anymore. No matter how good he had thought before, it would all be just a dream. Once they met and exchanged blows, they would realize the gap between them. Obviously, Yi Chen was not someone that could be beaten so easily. Right now, I cannot perform my sky bank. I will have to wait until my opponent's mentality drops a bit. Otherwise, even I do not know if I can beat him or not. If it were someone else, Bai Minghui would have performed his sky bank without hesitation and finished the battle with one spear attack. But right now, his opponent was Yi Chen, who was even more powerful than he had imagined. Of course, Bai Minghui still had the confidence to beat him. Dragon Transformation Spear Spell. Besides his self-created sky bank attack, Bai Minghui still had another extremely powerful spear attack. Technically speaking, the power of the Dragon Transformation Spear Spell was even more powerful than the sky bank attack. However, the latter focused more on speed and accuracy, so it was naturally not as powerful. A woo! A dragon roar was heard. If Bai Ming Hui's spear art before was like a flood dragon, then the spear art right now was like a real dragon. There was a huge difference between a flood dragon and a real dragon. The latter was more powerful and aggressive, which was the evolved version of the flood dragon. This spear attack was Bai Ming Hui's peak battling power. Lose. Stopping his backing out, Bai Ming Hui rushed out toward Yi Chen. That long spear of his formed a massive silver dragon, which roared as it attacked toward Yi Chen while shaking its head and tail. Gold pattern. Yi Chen waved out the gold sword in his hand, freezing the massive silver dragon in place. Then, waves of gold pattern spread out along with the sword aura, shattering the silver dragon without a doubt and attacking toward Bai Ming Hui, who was not far away. What? You can't block it out. Bai Ming Hui was shocked. He did not expect that Yi Chen would have this kind of ace sword attack. Under that sword attack, he did not even know how to block it out, and it would be pointless no matter how hard he tried. It was an attack with no answer, and he could only defend passively to minimize the damage. Dragon Transformation Spear Spell. Dragon Power. Bai Ming Hui lowered his center of gravity as his long spear drew a circle around his body. A massive silver dragon coiled around his body, protecting him within as he welcomed the incoming gold pattern attack. Boom! 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 The golden ripples looked magnificent, like ripples in a golden lake. They didn't contain any killing intent, but when the golden ripples struck the silver dragon, its destructive power was immediately revealed. The silver dragon only managed to block it for a blink of an eye before it was shattered and turned into nothingness. Pooh! Puking out a mouthful of blood, Bai Ming Hui was blown backward with his long spear in hand. His face was extremely pale. So powerful. Brother Bai Ming did not even have the power to fight back. The young warriors who came with Bai Ming Hui were all shocked. They had already thought that Yi Chen was powerful enough, and they thought that it was a mistake for Bai Ming Hui to challenge Yi Chen. Although Bai Ming Hui had convinced them later on, they still thought that it was too risky. It seems like Warrior Yi is indeed powerful. Even this Bai Ming Hui could not block out his sword art. Warrior Yi is so powerful. I am afraid he even has the power to compete with the top 5 young warriors, although the chance of him winning is not that high. People from the Murong family looked excited. The more powerful Yi Chen was, the more face they would have. After all, when Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng got married, Yi Chen would be the son-in-law of the Murong family, which would be like a family member. Therefore, it was only natural that they would be happy. This Yi Chen is getting more and more powerful day by day. Hee hee. Murong Jishui smiled as he glanced at his daughter who was standing right next to him. Su Ruhui laughed and said, "Indeed." Su Ruhui was a mother-in-law, and the more she looked at her son-in-law, the more she liked him. Plus, her life was saved by Yi Chen after all. On top of the cliff, Chu Zhongtian shook his head and sighed, "The gap is too big. Luckily, I did not challenge him. Otherwise, it would have been a joke." That sword attack of Yi Chen's had the power to wound him badly. Without continuing to chase, Yi Chen looked at Bai Ming Hui, who had a pale face, and said lightly, "What? Is this all you have? You should just use your most powerful spear attack. Otherwise, I will not show you any mercy." Mercy? Warrior Yi did not use his full power. Everyone could tell what Yi Chen was trying to say, so they were all shocked. Of course, Yi Chen had shown mercy. Otherwise, with the power of his gold pattern, it would not be as simple as just wounding him. Even if he did not die, he would be crippled. He chose to hold back because he did not want to kill his opponent and start a feud with the Bai Ming family. Besides, he also wanted to see the power of Bai Ming Hui's most powerful spear attack. Wiping away the blood on the corner of his mouth, Bai Ming Hui stared at Yi Chen without blinking. "I admit that I was a bit hasty to challenge you this time. But, it does not matter. I will still be the winner in the end." The next attack will be my self-made sky bank. No one in the young generation has been able to take it on. Sky bank, a good name indeed. But, it does not mean that it is unbeatable. It is just that you have not run into a powerful one yet. Pausing for a second, Yi Chen continued, perfect. I also have a spiritual sword attack. Let's see which one is faster, your sky bank or mine. A good attack could only be used in a real battle. Using Baiming Hui's sky bank to test his spiritual sword attack would be the best choice. Chapter 630. Sky Bank. Spiritual Sword Attack. They are going to use their killing attacks. Everyone held their breaths without blinking. Killing attacks were not always about the more powerful they were, but the more effective they were. For example, no matter how powerful the attack was, if it could not land on its target, then it would be useless. It would not count as a killing attack, but Yi Chen's gold pattern attack was definitely a killing attack. Judging on its power, it was even more powerful than the spiritual sword attack. However, he did not want to use it to beat his opponent, since he wanted to know which would be faster, the spiritual sword attack or the sky bank attack. Alright. Try my sky bank attack. Baiming Hui squeezed his eyes as he held his spear with his right hand. His toes touched the ground as he shot out toward Yi Chen. Yi Chen looked calm as he took out his gold sword a bit from its scabbard. He then extended his body, attacking toward his opponent like a shadow. His chi was like a sword as he flew on it. Shoo! Both of their auras were extremely sharp. One of them pressed forward with an indomitable will, while the other had strands of sword chi, crisscrossing unstoppably. When the two of them approached each other at an extreme speed, even the raging wind was sliced into pieces, and the place was as still as water. Anyone with a lower cultivation base would feel that time had slowed down. While flying, the silver dragon long spear in Baiming Hui's hand pulled back, and something weird happened. At the end of the long spear, a space pattern spread out, forming a curved shape. It was like a huge bow formed from space, and the long spear was the sharp arrow on top of it. Sky Bank, so close. Baiming Hui groaned as he stabbed out a spear attack, leaving no trace behind. Spiritual sword attack. Taking out his gold sword, Yi Chen's right hand looked like it was pushing away the clouds. He threw out a sword attack that seemed slow but was actually fast. The sword wind was shapeless and traceless, looking extremely gentle. So fast. I can't even see its trajectory. Everyone watching the battle was screaming inside their heads. Shoo! The two passed by each other. Yi Chen stood on a small mountain with his back facing Baiming Hui. Baiming Hui stood on a huge tree with his back facing Yi Chen as well. Who won? Chu Zhongtian frowned as he stared at Yi Chen and Baiming Hui. He wanted to see something, but he could not find anything. Murong Qingqing frowned. Murong Zhishui and his wife were holding hands. They could feel the cold sweat on each other's palms. Who? A gust of wind blew past, and the deathly stillness was swept away. What a powerful sword move. It actually made me feel the danger of death. Unfortunately, it didn't hit me. A joyful expression flashed through Baiming Hui's face. The second they exchanged attacks, he was terrified. Yi Chen's sword was like a gentle breeze, turning his killing intent into a gentle breeze. He did not know where it would land at all, and being able to dodge that sword attack was something he did not even know himself. Oh no, Yi Chen's sword didn't hit him. Murong Zhishui was taken aback. Su Ruhui tightly held Murong Zhishui's palm. Don't worry, even if Yi Chen's sword didn't hit him, his spear might not hit Yi Chen. Putting the long sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen turned around. Oh yeah? You think it didn't hit you? Shoo! Baiming Hui was about to turn around and say something when he felt a chill in between his eyebrows. There was some liquid dripping down. He reached out his hand to touch it and saw that it was blood red. How is this possible? Bai Minghui's eyes were wide open, his face full of disbelief and confusion. If he had been hit by that sword, it would be impossible for him not to feel it. After all, he was not a normal person, and his reflexes were way beyond warriors at the same level. But the thing that he could not accept the most was that the sword had hit right between his eyebrows, which was where the soul ocean was located. But, he could not feel it at all. If Yi Chen had wanted to kill him, then that sword would have gone through his eyebrows. The gap is just too huge. Although that sword might not be able to break through my defense, if it were my eyes, it would have definitely blinded me. Chu Zhongtian gasped. He was not afraid of fast attacks, but powerful ones. Only powerful attacks would be able to break through his defense. But, Yi Chen had broken that rule. Even if it could not break through his defense, it would still be able to pierce through his eyes or throat without him realizing it. It seems like I will not be able to return this wound to him in a short period of time. Yi Chen had left a cross-sword mark on Chu Zhongtian's chest, and because of his evil spirit body, it would not disappear. Although Chu Zhongtian did not hate Yi Chen that much, and he did not want to kill him, as a martial genius, he would not give up just like that. Even if there was no hope in his life, he would not give up. Brother Baiming has lost. Indeed, Yi Chen is even more horrifying than Du Guju. The young warrior who came with Bai Minghui shook his head. Ah! Being ranked 48 on the master-level warrior ranking, how could he be simple? Brother Baiming has lost a lot this time. Ho! Murong Qingcheng let out a breath. She suddenly thought of that lush grassland in the valley. Could it be Yi Chen's work? Formless and invisible. One sword attack without a trace. Bai Minghui turned around and said without any expression on his face, I did not expect my sky bank to be defeated one day. Alright, after battling with you this time, I have discovered the biggest weakness of my sky bank. I hope that before I challenge you next time, I will be able to defeat it. I hope that before I challenge you next time, you will not lose to anyone else. Bai Minghui was very stubborn. Although losing to Yi Chen was humiliating, he believed that as long as he worked hard, he would be able to beat the latter and return the humiliation. This defeat was only a small setback in his life. Plus, he still had to thank Yi Chen. It was because of Yi Chen's spiritual sword that he had found the hidden weakness of his sky bank. As long as he could get rid of it, he would not be the one who would lose next time. It is good to have confidence. But, I do not have time all the time. If you want to challenge me, you will have to see if you have what it takes. The wind blew on his clothes as Yi Chen said lightly. You do not need to worry about me. I, Bai Minghui, have always been powerful. I am afraid that one day, when I challenge you, you will no longer be able to interest me. Let's go. After saying that, Bai Minghui carried his long spear on his back and flew out the way he had come. The other young warriors froze for a second before following him. So arrogant. Still so arrogant after losing. If it were not for Warrior Yi holding back, that sword attack would have killed him. People from the Murong family were not happy about it. Yi Chen chuckled, not really caring about it. There were way too many martial geniuses who had lost to him, and he could not even remember some of them. After the battle between Bai Minghui and Yi Chen had ended, Chu Zhongtian turned around and was about to leave. Chu Zhongtian, since you are already here, why not catch up? Yi Chen still thought highly of Chu Zhongtian, since this was an opponent with a lot of potential. Chu Zhongtian shook his head and said, No, I will challenge you the next time we meet. Let's catch up then. As he spoke, Chu Zhongtian pushed his evil yuan and turned into a beam of dark red light, disappearing into the horizon within a blink of an eye. Flying down from the peak, Yi Chen landed on the plaza of the Murong family. Yi Chen, are you alright? Murong Qingcheng walked over. The second when Yi Chen and Bai Minghui exchanged attacks, she had opened her demon eyes. However, she could only vaguely see a blurry spear shadow. It was not hard to tell how fast Bai Ming Hui's spear was, which was almost beyond her demon eye's ability. Yi Chen grabbed Murong Qingqing's hand. That spear attack is indeed fast, but just like he said, it has a huge weakness. Sky Bank was the fastest spear attack he had ever seen. But, because of its extreme speed, it was moving in a straight line. If it were a straight line, then it would be possible to predict it beforehand. It was exactly because Yi Chen had predicted the attack point that he was able to dodge the attack instantly. Otherwise, he would have to use his spiritual sword to block out the attack, and he would not be able to leave a shallow sword mark on his opponent's forehead. Weakness? Murong Qingqing thought about it. She also thought that Bai Ming Hui's Sky Bank attack was too simple. But, it was only for Yi Chen. If it were someone else, they would not be able to react at all. Therefore, this attack might be a weakness for Yi Chen, but it might not be a weakness for others. Ha! Good brat. I did not expect you to reach the next level. Murong Jishui was feeling great. Su Ruhui frowned and said, I have never seen such an arrogant young man before. He does not know how to hold back at all. Bai Ming Hui's last sentence made Su Ruhui a little unhappy. Yi Chen laughed, Auntie, don't worry. If I can beat him once, I can beat him again. One day, he will be desperate. As he said that, Yi Chen was talking with a smile, but it gave people an unquestionable feeling, as if what he said was the truth. You brat, you are quite arrogant as well. Hearing him, Su Ruhui laughed. With such a powerful future son-in-law, she could trust him to take care of her daughter. He has always been arrogant. It was rare for Murong Qingqing to crack a joke. She knew Yi Chen very well, and she knew that he was a man who looked calm on the surface, but was actually a volcano on the inside. It was just that he rarely showed it, or maybe he did not care to show it. Hee, you do know me well. Yi Chen suddenly thought of Su Jing, who knew him very well as well. Indeed, he was not arrogant, but he had his pride. People with pride would never think that they could not do it. All right, everyone, you can all leave now. Go do your own things. Murong Jishui waved his hand to signal everyone to leave, then said to Yi Chen, although you are very powerful, you still have weaknesses, such as defense. Defense is a weakness that sword artists cannot cover up. Yeah. Yi Chen nodded. A sword artist's biggest weakness would be their defense. Sword intent could greatly increase one's attack, but it would not be able to increase one's defense. However, martial intent would be able to do so. Everything had its pros and cons, and it was unavoidable. Although he had the dragon bone defense layer now, it was not omnipotent. If he ran into a powerful opponent, it might not be able to keep him safe. Murong Jishui continued, you should know about the treasure holy tower, right? I had been there once before, but my luck was not good, and I only managed to get one top rank item. With your power, however, you should be able to get to the 4th floor and have the chance to get a semi-extreme rank item. Wouldn't it be too dangerous? Su Ruhui said worriedly. Murong Jishui said, for normal master-level warriors, there is a certain amount of danger. But for top master-level warriors, the danger is almost negligible. Although the danger is low, the most important thing to do in the tower is luck. If you are unlucky, you will get nothing. Plus, you have to be careful of other people as well. In a situation where there are too many monks and not enough meat, the most dangerous person would be the one who goes in. Of course, I'm not reminding you to go to the Holy Treasure Pagoda for no reason. It's just that although the Holy Treasure Pagoda is open all the time, it only opens the 1st floor. The 2nd floor opens in the 2nd year, the 3rd floor in the 3rd year, the 4th floor in the 4th year, and so on. This time, it just so happens to be the 4th year of the new cycle. If there are no accidents, every talented genius will go there. If you don't go, you will be dragged down by them. Of course, I will go. Yi Chen had already planned to go there. If he could get a semi-extreme rank defensive item, it would be very useful for him. It should be known that items were also part of one's power, and absolute fairness would be absolute injustice. Chapter 631. The battle between Bai Minghui and Yi Chen was only watched by people from the Murong family and Chu Zhongtian. The Murong family did not have much contact with the outside world, and Chu Zhongtian was not the kind of person who liked to spread the news. Therefore, not many people knew about this battle. As for Bai Minghui, he would not tell anyone about him losing to Yi Chen. Although he was not afraid of losing, it would be better if no one knew about it. The young warriors who were always with him did not want to piss him off, so they naturally would not tell anyone about it. At most, they would tell some of their close friends, which made the news spread very slowly. In the world of warriors, time always passed very fast, especially for the Sea of Souls realm warriors who had lived for 300 years. Within a blink of an eye, 1.5 months had passed. On this particular day, Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing left for the Treasure Holy Tower in the Sky Martial region. The Treasure Holy Tower was a tower that had been passed down from the ancient times. It had not survived for so many years, and had always been one of the sacred places in the world. The Treasure Holy Tower was located on the broken cliff of the Prisoner Dragon Mountain in the Sky Martial region. The Prisoner Dragon Mountain was a very famous and even evil holy mountain. It was said that it was the place that suppressed the ancient giant dragons, which was why it was named the Prisoner Dragon Mountain. The broken cliff of the Prisoner Dragon Mountain was even more famous, since it was connected to many other mountains. It was hundreds of miles long, looking like a dragon's corpse. When it reached the neck, it would be cut off as if someone had cut off its head. Therefore, it was not the head of a human being that was cut off, but the head of a giant dragon. On the cliff, there was a huge 7-floored tower shining brightly. Looking closely, one could see that there were 7 different colors: red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. Above the entrance of the first floor, there were 4 big words written in gold: 1,000 Treasure Holy Tower. Indeed, it was the 1,000 Treasure Holy Tower, not the Treasure Holy Tower. Since there were a lot of treasures inside, the Treasure Holy Tower was just a common name. The sky had just started to brighten when people arrived at the broken cliff and entered the tower. Then, more and more people arrived. They were all young martial geniuses under the age of 40. Some of them were alone, while others were in groups. However, they all seemed to be worried about something, so there were not that many of them in groups. When the first ray of sunlight shone on the earth, an important figure arrived. It was the sword sex Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu glanced at the 4th color on the Treasure Holy Pagoda. His figure flashed, and like a flying sword, he flew into the entrance of the first floor. After that, Bai Wuxia also arrived. Right after him was Xiao Chuha. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 streams of light shot over from different directions in the sky. From afar, one could see that the 2 streams of light were wrapped around a graceful figure. It was obvious that they were female. When the light dissipated, the 2 women appeared on the 2 peaks opposite the decapitation cliff. One of them was Yan Feng Feng, and the other was a cold-looking lady with an evil look on her face and a hot body. Princess Godly Shark. Yan Feng Feng glanced at the cold lady. The glamorous woman was the most mysterious one among the 5 young tycoons, the Godly Shark Princess. She had always been elusive. She would only appear when it was necessary to increase her combat power. Normally, even her shadow could not be seen. The Godly Shark Princess was also studying Yan Feng Feng. She could already tell that Yan Feng Feng was not a human, but a beast body just like her. The difference was that the Godly Shark Princess had already reached rank 10, while Yan Feng Feng was only at rank 9. The 2 were only 1 rank apart, but she did not dare to underestimate Yan Feng Feng. From Yan Feng Feng's body, she could sense that kind of noble qi. It was not hard to imagine that Yan Feng Feng's real body must be very powerful. Once she showed her real body, her battling power would increase drastically. The two looked at each other but did not say anything. They flew toward the tower one after another, disappearing from the entrance of the first floor within a blink of an eye. As the sun rose up, more and more famous young warriors arrived. There were Lan Shiqing, Lin Tian, Lin Ku, Luo Haisong, Hai Wuya, as well as Du Guju, Bai Minghui, and Chu Zhongtian. Right after them, Dan Tai Mingyue, who was wearing red robes and had a red veil on her face, had also arrived. So many people. Almost all of the famous young martial geniuses are here. On top of two big trees not far away stood three people, Jing Aoshuan, Li Xiaoyun, and Li Xiaoyun's girlfriend, Yu Xian. Jing Aoshuan and Li Xiaoyun were already master-level warriors, and Li Xiaoyun's girlfriend, Yu Xian, seemed to have started to train Jin Yuan as well. Right now, she was at mid-astral reaching realm. In just a couple of years, she had managed to reach this level from someone who did not train Jin Yuan at all. It was all thanks to her powerful soul, and her mental attack power was even more unbelievable. She was born with a high cultivation, and with Li Xiaoyun's support, it would not be an exaggeration for her to reach mid-astral reaching realm. After all, Yu Xian mainly trained mental power, and Jin Yuan was only used to strengthen her body for her. With our power, the fourth floor is too dangerous. Let's just stay on the third floor. Jing Aoshuan had never given up. Sooner or later, she would become one of the top young martial geniuses in the Sky Martial region. But now was not the time. Her comprehensive ability and talent were not the best in the whole continent, and her body talent was not as good as Chu Zhongtian's as well. Therefore, all that was left for her was hard work. Li Xiaoyun was the same as Jing Aoshuan. He was very open-minded. The third floor is not bad either. The chance of getting top-rank weapons is not small. If we are lucky, we might even get a set of top-rank weapons. The first floor of the tower only had top-rank weapons. The second floor had a certain chance of getting top-rank weapons, and the third floor had an even higher chance of getting top-rank weapons. There was even a small chance of getting a whole set of top-rank weapons. As for the fourth floor, there was a chance of getting half-extreme rank weapons and a whole set of top-rank weapons. However, it was also quite dangerous. Only top master-level warriors would be able to protect themselves. If they were unlucky, even top master-level warriors would fall, and normal master-level warriors would not be able to make it out alive. After the three of them entered the tower, from the south, two human figures walked over hand in hand. It was indeed Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing. So this is the tower. It was Yi Chen's first time coming here. Murong Qingqing said, "Don't you feel that this tower is like an artifact? However, it is much more powerful." Yeah. Yi Chen had also sensed that the tower was emitting a seven-colored light that was similar to the vibration of a great artifact. However, that vibration had already solidified into a bright light, which was even more powerful than the extreme rank weapons. It was hard to imagine what kind of thing it was. No wonder even life and death realm warriors could not get in. Shoo! A beam of gold light shot over. Yi Chen turned his head and looked over, then said, "Xia Hozuan is here." Xia Hozuan was wearing a gold robe and a gold crown on his head, which was very similar to Bai Minghui, who was wearing a silver robe and crown. However, compared to Bai Minghui, Xia Hozuan looked even more aggressive. As his eyes opened and closed, the gold light shone everywhere. That aggressive aura of his had not decreased even after losing to Bai Wuxia. It was obvious that Xia Hozuan had recognized Yi Chen. After all, Yi Chen was the only martial genius who had made it into the master-level warrior ranking besides the top 5 young warriors. It would be a lie if Xia Hozuan said that he did not know him. However, it was only an acquaintance, and he did not pay too much attention to Yi Chen. For him, the top 5 young warriors would be unshakable in the next couple of years, even if they were powerful martial geniuses. That Lin Tian who had the highest chance of making it to the top had challenged Xiao Chuha, but the result was that he could not even handle 3 attacks when Xiao Chuha was slightly serious. Therefore, right now, Yi Chen was not worth Xia Hozuan's attention. Without any hesitation, Xia Hozuan's body flashed like a beam of gold lightning as he flew into the entrance of the tower's first floor. Let's go in as well. Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing entered the tower together. There was a universe inside the tower, and the first floor contained a small world, which was a world of fire and lava. As far as the eye could see, there was nothing but dark red and bright lava everywhere. The heat was so hot that any astral-reaching realm warrior would probably be roasted to death inside. Even Sea of Souls realm warriors would not feel good under the protection of their protective Jin Yuan, and their bodies would start to sweat. So hot. Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing had just entered when they felt the temperature change drastically, reaching a horrifying level. Putting up their protective Jin Yuan layer, the two finally felt a bit better. Luckily, we can leave any time we want, or go to the second floor. Otherwise, if we stay here for a couple of months, our bodies would definitely collapse. The two flew for a while, and they could occasionally see one or two human figures. One of them had an ice element Jin Yuan layer, and did not seem to be uncomfortable at all. Yi Chen chuckled and continued to move forward. Above the world of fire was a red chi flow. Occasionally, there would be red meteors falling from the sky, rubbing against the air and bringing up burning waves of fire. The higher they went, the denser the meteors were. Although Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing could handle it, they did not want to suffer like this. Therefore, the two kept close to the lava lake as they moved forward, maintaining a height of 100 meters. Swoosh! A wave appeared on the surface of the lava lake as a fire element beast with red scales all over its body jumped out, biting toward Murong Qingqing who was the closest to it. Boom! Murong Qingqing threw out a palm attack onto the beast's head, pushing it into the lava lake. This defense is very powerful. Murong Qingqing frowned. She had used 50 to 60% of her power in that palm attack, but it still could not hurt the beast at all. It was not hard to imagine how powerful the beast's defense was. It seemed like the first floor of the tower would not be that easy to get through. Without the power of spirit warriors, it would be hard to move forward. We're at the entrance of the second floor. Yi Chen saw a white door in the air in front of him, releasing waves of cold air. Shwa! The two jumped into the door. Hoo 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 hoo, the cold wind was biting cold, and the snow was everywhere. If the first floor was a world of fire, then the second floor was a world of ice and snow. The temperature suddenly changed from burning hot to extreme cold. It was like the 9 heavens of ice and fire. In the white sky, the two seemed very small, and under the cover of the snow, they could barely be seen. Crack! An ice elemental snake-type beast drilled out of the ground and jumped up. It opened its mouth and spat out a cold yao qi. Caught off guard, they were about to be caught off guard. Taking out the gold sword, Yi Chen casually chopped off the head of the ice snake. Ice spirit, high-rank weapon. The ice snake was not a normal beast, but a life form formed from ice elemental qi. Therefore, chopping off its head would not kill it. Moreover, from the ice snake's wound, a beam of light suddenly shot out. It was a high-rank weapon. Grabbing the high-rank weapon, Yi Chen said curiously, could it be that the beasts inside the tower would hide their weapons in their bodies? Yi Chen guessed wrong. The weapons inside the tower were not fixed. Maybe by breaking an ice mountain, one would be able to find a weapon inside. If one went underground, one would also be able to find a weapon. As for the bodies of beasts, there were very few weapons, and this ice snake was an exception. Chapter 632. Although the second layer of the ice world might have a chance to get top-rank weapons, Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing did not care about that, so they went straight to the entrance of the third layer. The first two layers were the fire world and the ice world, but the third layer was different. The whole place was filled with crystal clear chi flow, which was as thick as water, covering every inch of the space. Besides this crystal clear chi flow, there was no yuan chi in the third layer. Without yuan chi, it meant that the warriors could not convert the natural yuan chi into Jin yuan, which made it a dangerous place. No yuan chi, but full of treasure chi. Yi Chen could tell that this crystal clear chi flow was extremely rare treasure chi. Back in the crafting room on the Treasure River Island, he had collected some of it and stored it in his storage ring, using it to nourish his Thunder Disaster Sword and Gold Sword. After all, the weapons had their own durability. After a long time, or two intense collisions, they would still be damaged. Some of the minor damages could not be seen with the naked eye, and could only be repaired with treasure chi. Besides, treasure chi could also improve the weapon's quality to a certain extent. For example, a normal top-rank weapon might become a mid or top-rank weapon after being nourished by treasure chi for a long time. Murong Qingqing flew out a couple of miles, then turned back and said with a frown, "The speed is only about 50% of the outside world. The third layer is already this powerful, I am afraid the fourth layer would be even worse." Although the third layer was not life-threatening for top master level warriors, it was only when they used all of their power. If they were not careful enough, there was still a small chance that they would die. Yeah. Flying at a low altitude, Yi Chen lifted up his head, and the wide gold sword on his waist suddenly took out of its scabbard. Dang! The gold sword blocked out the sudden treasure light attack. Yi Chen's body shook a little, and he could not help but fall down. Eventually, he landed on the ground steadily. Such a powerful attack. Even if it was not at the top master level, it was at least 60 to 70% of a top master level warrior's attacking power. I was caught off guard, so I did not even get to use 50% of my power. There was only one danger in the treasure chi world, which was the treasure light attacks that could appear at any time. These treasure light attacks were made of highly compressed treasure chi, and the surroundings were filled with treasure chi. The attacks were silent, and even soul power would not be able to detect them. The good thing was that the treasure light attacks were not dense, and it was the first time for the two of them. Are you alright? The treasure light attack was too sudden. Murong Qingqing tilted her head and realized that Yi Chen had disappeared. In terms of danger perception, she was still a notch lower than Yi Chen. Yi Chen said, "It's nothing. The treasure aura in the air is too dense, it's affecting my perception. It's best if we go a bit lower. This way, there shouldn't be too much danger." The higher one went in the treasure chi world, the denser the treasure chi, and the weaker the soul power. But at the bottom, the treasure chi was very thin, and the resistance was also very small. Just as Yi Chen had guessed, flying close to the ground reduced the danger by more than half. If there was a treasure light rushing over, the two of them would be able to sense it in advance. They could either dodge, shatter, or accelerate. There were many ways to deal with it, unlike the first time. We've reached the entrance to the fourth floor. Roughly 2 hours later, the two of them found the entrance to the fourth floor. It was a gate condensed from precious energy, and it was extremely gorgeous. Buzz! Just as the two of them were about to reach the entrance, the treasure chi on both sides of the gate suddenly condensed together, forming into two living beings. The living beings were humanoid, almost 3 meters tall. Their eyes were like diamonds, shining with a sharp light. Boom! The living being on the left flashed its body, throwing out a punch towards Yi Chen. The powerful fist wind was like a bone-piercing steel blade, it was very condensed. Gold pattern. Yi Chen did not have the time to waste with his opponent, so he directly used his killing attack. He waved his gold sword, and the gold pattern spread out, looking very beautiful. Boom! 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 How could the living being withstand the attack of the gold pattern? It collapsed instantly, turning back into the crystal-clear treasure chi. On the other side, Murong Qingqing was also fighting with the living being. Flying sky assassination cut. Spreading his black bat wings, Murong Qingqing's speed increased to a new level. Suddenly, there seemed to be more than 100 of him, attacking the living being from all directions. Every 3 attacks, there would be a wound on the living being's body, causing it to shake violently. However, although the living being was not as powerful as a top master level warrior, it was very close. The flying sky assassination cut seemed to be very efficient, but it was not powerful enough to severely injure the living being. Swoosh! Let me take care of it. Yi Chen could tell that Murong Qingqing would need a long time to take care of the living being. His body flashed, and his gold sword sliced out like it was slicing through the clouds. Swoosh! This time, Yi Chen used the spiritual sword art. The living being did not even have time to react before its head was cut off. What surprised Yi Chen was that the living being did not disappear. Its head reattached, and it continued to fight with Murong Qingqing, not caring about Yi Chen at all. Could this be a test? I have to take care of this living being on my own. Yi Chen looked confused, and he stopped attacking. Seeing that Yi Chen's attacks were not working, Murong Qingqing knew that she had to take care of it on her own. In order to not waste time, Murong Qingqing first performed the dark sky curtain to stop the living being for a second. Then, she opened her black bat wings to their limit. Streams of black light flowed through her bat wings and into her body. Finally, they gathered at the tip of her finger. Sky Demon Finger. She pointed out her finger, and the black finger power landed on the living being's chest. A black sun rose up, and the living being was turned into nothingness. After taking a few deep breaths, Murong Qingqing said, "Let's go in." The Sky Demon Finger was a martial art she inherited from the demons after she awakened her talent. It needed to use the special power of the black bat wings on her back. Every time she used it, it would be consumed. She rarely used it unless she had no other choice. Swoosh! Swoosh! The 2 of them entered the 4th floor. Waiting until the 2 had left, a couple of human figures appeared nearby. That Yi Chen is so powerful. I could not even handle one attack from this living being, and he managed to kill it within seconds. Plus, the first attack was already so aggressive, and the second attack was so fast that there was no trace of it at all. Both of them were extremely horrifying killing attacks. This is so powerful. Yeah, we have been watching here for a long time. A lot of the young warriors who had entered the 4th floor had used their killing attacks. Not to mention the top 5 young warriors, that Bai Minghui and Du Guju are also very powerful. They did not even bother to look at it before killing the living being with only one attack. Yan Fengfeng's power has been underestimated by everyone. She did not even change her body, but with just a flap of her fire wings, the living being had been burned into nothingness. These people had been hiding nearby the whole time. For them, seeing the top young warriors perform their killing attacks might give them some inspiration, and allow them to create their own powerful attacks. They did not expect to be as powerful as Yi Chen and the rest, but as long as they could beat the young warriors at the same level, it would be enough. The 4th floor was an extremely dangerous place. The treasure qi in this place was not that rich, and the visibility was very high. But, as far as the eye could see, there were all kinds of treasure qi living beings of different levels. The energy vibration coming from them varied in strength. The weakest one was equivalent to the one guarding the entrance of the 4th floor, while the most powerful one was not any weaker than the barbarian who had chased after Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing before. It was almost at the half-step king warrior level. Bastard! He has been chasing me for thousands of miles. All of the warriors who had come to the 4th floor were top young warriors, but the scene was extremely chaotic. Some of them had joined hands to fight against the living beings, while some of them were fighting alone. There were even some who were being chased by the living beings and had to run for their lives. Yeah, this living being is holding a top-rank weapon. Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing had just arrived at the 4th floor when they were attacked by a living being. It was almost 3 meters tall, holding a dark blue long spear in its hand. The vibration of a weapon was extremely intense, and the tip of the spear was extremely sharp. "Whoa!" The living being screamed and attacked toward the two. Yi Chen's expression did not change as he held the gold sword in his right hand and waved it gently. The sword chi was like a gentle breeze, and it reached the living being within a second. Crack! The head of the living being was blown into the sky, having been killed within a second. Although it was called a living being, it was actually more like an energy body, since it did not have a soul. It was just that it was covered by the rules of the tower, and had naturally formed a body to attack living beings. Therefore, as long as the attack power was high enough, it could be killed within a second. Of course, if the attack power was not high enough, then even 100 attacks would not be enough, since it would absorb the natural treasure chi to heal itself. After killing the living being that was attacking them, Yi Chen waved his left hand, and the dark blue long spear that had fallen to the ground flew over and landed in his hand. It is indeed a top-rank weapon. Yi Chen studied the long spear for a while before putting it into his storage ring. After that, the two did not run into any other living beings with weapons. It seemed like it was just like what Murong Jishui had said, coming to the treasure holy tower would depend on one's luck. If one's luck was not good, then one might end up with nothing. But if one's luck was good, then one might be able to get a semi-extreme rank weapon. Boom! Inside a massive valley, Yan Fengfeng studied the treasure chi life form in front of her with a serious expression. This life form was very small, only about 1 meter and 80 centimeters tall. Its body shone with a diamond-like light, which was a couple of times more powerful than normal life forms. The luxurious blue armor on the living being's body was giving off a very powerful vibration. It was actually a semi-extreme rank defensive armor. Yan Fengfeng's attacks had all been blocked out by the blue armor, and she had not been able to hurt the living being at all. Instead, she had been punched once. Shriek! With a roar, Yan Fengfeng shot into the sky while an endless blue light shone out of her body. Waiting until the light disappeared, a massive blue phoenix appeared in the sky above the valley. That burning blue flame wrapped around the phoenix, and even its eyeballs were burning. Whoo! She flapped her wings, and that blue flame wave was brought up along with a powerful wind, blowing away the living being. Meanwhile, the phoenix turned into a beam of blue flame and appeared above the living being within a second. Its massive claws grabbed onto it, and with a pull, both of the living being's arms had been torn off. It was not over yet. The phoenix pecked with its beak, and the head of the living being had also been pierced through. The next second, the living being disappeared completely. Just when Yan Fengfeng was about to grab onto the blue armor, a shooting star finger power shot over, blowing away the armor. My luck is not bad. I have only been here for a while, and I have already run into a semi-extreme rank weapon. On the wall of the valley, a young man in gold robes appeared. It was indeed Xia Hozuan. The blue phoenix spat out human eyes. Xia Hozuan, what do you mean? Treasures belong to those with power. You should know this. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.